So I wanted to talk to you about challenging identity and why it is that we can't get past these crises and why we can't get anybody to discuss these crises and what happens when you do. So if you were to take your own identity out of it, I am talking about benefit systems containing millions of people who are actively being harmed, many not eating, many getting very, very sick, many, the DWP can't communicate with people because people have got PTSD and won't open brown envelopes, won't touch them. Like, really. Our child protection system, not only do we not have a system at present that's protecting children who are being abused within the home, but the children within that system are currently, a return to a Victorian age. Except we're supposed to have modern laws that protect them, so that's a lot of children. So already I'm talking about major systems. Social care is, thousands and thousands and thousands of the most vulnerable people in the country. And in the aftermath, it'll be like, well, how could anybody look at this system failure where all these terrible things happened? And the reality is that at present, you can't, the people who should be doing something about it won't, because it would injure their identity to know there was something wrong. So a person I'm going to use, I'm sorry to do this, Karen, this is not to get at you, but somebody mentioned to me the other week an argument between me and Karen and Garla Smith. It wasn't an argument. At the time, I was trying to discuss the fact that women could no longer leave abuse because I was seeing them. And it was the first time in several years. Mothers had only been mentioned once. Yvette Cooper mentioned us, I think it was 2-3 years ago. Briefly. That's the only mention of austerity by Labour, by the way. This one mention by Yvette Cooper. And Karen and Garla Smith said, not all women are breeders. And it was like, actually, this isn't about your identity, this is about this structure. And she told me I was being irresponsible for saying that women couldn't leave abuse, which is great, except I knew women at that point who were being battered because they couldn't leave. And I'd just dealt with an adoption where somebody had lost her children because she couldn't do what was being asked of her because none of the systems were there to let her. Now Karen would not, she didn't know me from Adam. All she knew was a voice popping up out of nowhere to say, why are you saying that? Why are you deliberately trying to stop us discussing this? Because from my perspective, that's what it is. And all she can see, because she doesn't know that these systems are doing what I'm seeing that they're doing, is that somebody's saying women can't leave and discouraging women to leave, and she knows that's a bad thing. And, and this escalates because she is in a position where she doesn't know something and I do. And for her to accept that actually, now, I don't believe at all that Karen meant any harm at all. I've spoken to her. So, well, I've not spoken to her personally, but I've emailed her since. But at the time, she didn't know that, and her reflex was to protect identity. I've sat in lectures, and at present we're at humanitarian disaster. We're at major institutional, this crisis is at synthesis point, and the people who are supposed to be responding to it don't even know it's happening, which is extraordinary. But, take Owen Jones, I identify as, how dare you, right? You try having a conversation with him about the impact of anything he does, he can't do it. And all he will do when faced with harm is escalate his denial of it, because that's why we do more harm when we identify as good. So currently, that's the situation at LSE, and most of those people who are holding it up are there to do good for the poor. And the barrier that we actually have is that those people want to identify as good, and that has morphed into these elite children marching around going, I identify as genderqueer, I identify as this, and I'm allowed to hit and do what I like. I'm allowed to terrorise women because I identify as good. I identify as your sex, so you're not allowed any boundaries from me. This is the barrier that we've got, and that's playing out through the turf thing. These young people have spent an awful lot of money to be educated, to be the voice of the marginalised, and they've been led to believe that they can be, and all of a sudden it turns out they can't be. So they've invented marginalised identities for themselves and told trans people that trans people can have power that actually is power that they had in a bygone age. And so we've now got the disgusting sight of women being terrorised all over the country, because the rule of law was always this. These elite institutions didn't bother knowing it And this is just part of that correction.